You know, sometimes in life, we just go encounter a situation where we just don't think there's a way out. And it is so difficult, and we have so much pressure on us, we just don't know where to turn and who to turn to. When you find yourself in that situation, always turn to Allah, because that is the solution. Now the people have gathered, and they are deciding what they're going to do with Ibrahim alayhi salam. So the head priest, he decides that we will dig a deep pit and we will burn the biggest fire and we will burn Ibrahim alayhi salam. Allahu Akbar. A punishment that you cannot imagine. Imagine being burned alive, and that is what they decide. And they went and they started to pour in the wood inside of the pit, and they light the pit and they start to put in wood inside, keep putting it in, feeding the fire up until the point where the fire was so high and it was so hot that they couldn't go close to it. Even when the birds would fly over the fire, the birds would roast and they would fall in. That's how hot the fire was. And those women and men that did not understand the Tawheed of Allah, they would go and make a covenant with their gods that we will go and we are fueling this fire, and through this fueling of the fire, grant us what we wish. Still worshiping a created God. Now they take Ibrahim alayhi salam, and now they can't throw him inside of the fire. So what did they do? There was an inventor in that time who creates a thing called minjaniq. Minjaniq is a catapult. And they decided they were going to catapult Ibrahim into the fire. And as they built this catapult, they bring Ibrahim alayhi salam completely tied, and they did something to Ibrahim alayhi salam which goes completely against what he was comfortable with. In order to humiliate him, they stripped him down of all of his clothing, and they placed him with just the strings around his hand and his feet. And when they placed him on to humiliate him, they wanted to see the flesh being burned off of Ibrahim alayhi salam. Ibrahim alayhi salam is sitting on the catapult, nowhere to go. He is there bound, and they're about to release it. Just before they release the catapult, in one narration, even though this is not from hadith, but there's a narration that the Mufassirun have explained, that Jibreel alayhi salam seeks permission from Allah, and he comes down and he says that, "Oh Ibrahim alayhi salam, I have come to help you." The archangel comes down and he says, "I've come to help you in order for me to relieve you from this." Ibrahim alayhi salam says, "If Allah has not sent you, then I don't need your help." Imagine when we're in that situation, what type of help we will be looking for. He says, "No, I don't need your help." And then the catapult is released. And as it's released, Ibrahim alayhi salam, he says, "Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakeel. Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakeel." That my Allah is sufficient for me, and my Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the disposer of all affairs, and He will take care of me. He is saying this as he is being thrown into the fire, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala immediately orders the fire. He says, قُلْنَا يَا نَارُ كُونِي بَرْدًا وَسَلَامًا عَلَى إِبْرَاهِيمَ. That, O fire, the hukum is given, the command is given, that you are to become cool for Ibrahim alayhi salam. Had the hukum not come where he said, وَسَلَامًا عَلَى Ibrahim, and he had just said, become cool, then the fire would have become so cold, it would have killed Ibrahim alayhi salam. Now imagine the skies were calling out to Allah, saying, "Oh Allah Rabbul Izzah, Rabbul Alameen, allow us to send down the rain so we can cool this fire." But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows it to happen. Ibrahim alayhi salam falls in the middle of the fire. The ropes burn off, but he doesn't burn. And the fire is so hot that if you've ever looked at any type of fire, when you look at the bottom flame, it's completely clear, and the red and the blue is on top. The way it's clear, Ibrahim alayhi salam is sitting in the middle of the fire, and then all of a sudden it becomes bliss. It's as if he's sitting in a garden, enjoying himself. And Ibrahim alayhi salam said that was the most enjoyable moment in my life, when I was in the middle of the fire. Allahu Akbar. In a time when we think that we are at our end, when we think that something bad is going to happen, if we have faith with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, just like Ibrahim alayhi salam called out, and we have that confidence that Allah, you are sufficient for me, Allah will make a way out. Allah will take us out of any kind of difficulty we want. It's just having that yaqeen, having that conviction that Allah, you will take care of me. And if we ever find ourselves like this, how many of us have ever found ourselves where we're in dire need? Either we're getting evicted, where we don't have food to eat, or we're going through such a difficult time where someone is sick or you yourself are sick. If you ever find yourself, if I ever find myself in that situation, we turn to Allah and we say, Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakeel. That Allah, you are sufficient for me. Ibrahim alayhi salam, when the fire dwindled down, he comes walking out, and his father is watching him, and the whole city is watching him, and he walks out unharmed. And now imagine what message he's about to deliver to his people.